Okay, this lesson is going to show you how to set up AutoCAD 2005 for doing 3D drafting. The first place to start would really be to import a file that has the settings that you want, such as your metric border file. So I'm going to go select my metric border file. In order to do this, you must make sure that if it was created in a later version, so I'm working right now in AutoCAD 2005, if the border was created in AutoCAD 2007, you first would have had to go into AutoCAD 2007, save the file with a file type as, and I'll do this in 2005, but you go to File, Save As, and down here, Files of Type, you could select anything earlier than 2005. So I usually select AutoCAD 2000 LT and make sure it's the .dwg format that you save it in. So you would have to do that from 2007, save it, and then open it up again into 2005. To get things set up, what we're going to do is we're going to set up some toolbars that'll be useful, and also set up our viewports. I'm not going to use the border, but I'll leave it here for now and I'll erase it later on. So to set up the toolbars, you'll go up to View, go down to Toolbars, and the toolbars that I tend to use are 3D Orbit, Shade, Solids, Solids Editing, UCS2, and View. If these have not shown up in this column here, then make sure that you've got ACAD selected here, not Custom. Okay. Once you've got the check marks in there, say Close, and your toolbars may not have gone in the locations shown as they are right now. I'll put them back out here. These are the ones that you will have opened up. I have certain places that I like to keep the toolbars. It would be easiest if you put yours in the same places. So I'm going to drag this one back up there, which is where yours probably is. I'm going to put my 3D Orbit toolbar up here. Okay. And I'm going to put the Solids Editing next to the Modify toolbar. Actually, I'm going to drag it down a bit, leave some space in here. I'm going to put the Solids toolbar next above it. Okay, and I'm going to put the View toolbar down into this area. And next I'm going to put my UCS into the middle and the Shade over on the side. Okay, so I've got my, I'm going to try to drag this one over a little bit more without it turning. I'm going to move this one over a bit more so that I can see all these ones. Okay, I really do want to see those. I'll put it up underneath for now. Okay, now that's set up our toolbars. Next thing we're going to need to do is to set up our viewports. When working in 3D, tend to want to be able to see more than one view of an object at the same time. So we go up to View, Viewports, New Viewports, and then select. I'm going to select 4 equal. You could select other combinations, but I tend to use the 4 equal viewports. Set the setup to 3D. Then I'm going to change these views to be the way I like them to be. So I like the front view in the bottom left, top in the top left, right in the bottom left, and a 3D view in the upper right. So I click into this view, select it, and change it to top. Go to the next one, change it to top. Sorry, the bottom one was supposed to be the front. And the side over here will be the right view, and then for this one I'll select any of the 3D views. I'm going to select Southwest Isometric for now. Doesn't really matter which one you pick. I'm going to say OK, and now I've got 4 different views of any objects that are in the model space right now. So I can see the border here as if I'm looking at it as in an isometric view. Here I'm looking at it from the top, and here I'm looking at it from a front view as if the border is laid down, and this is the right side view as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is in any of these viewports I can click into it, I can zoom, I could pan, and I can do that individually. If I want to pan in this one, I can do that. I can zoom in or out. And what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to erase the border. So I'm going to go like this and erase the border. Some basic commands here. What we're going to use is shapes to draw things in 3D. So you might use a cylinder or a box, and then we'll be able to do things like subtract portions out. So let's start off with a box. Main thing here, or one of the main things for each command that you do, is to decide which viewport you're going to do it in, and then click into that viewport first before you start your command. So I've clicked into the front view, and then I'm going to go and select the box command. Then I'm going to, it says down here, specify corner of box, so I'm going to click a spot there. I'm going to use specify corner or cube length, so I'm going to type in L for length. Then, according to the UCS here, in this particular view, my X direction would be in this direction, so that's the length. So I'm going to type in, let's make it 60, enter, and then a width. That's, in this case, it's the Y direction, so it would be up in this view. So I'm going to do, let's do 50 in that direction. And then the height would be the Z component. So in this case, a positive Z would come straight out of the screen, and a negative Z would go into the screen. So I'm going to type in, let's make it 60, or no, let's make it 70. Okay, and now I've got this in model space. I've got a cube or a box. I can't see it in this view, so I'm just going to click up there, do Z for zoom, enter, E for extents, and now I can see it in the top view. And same thing down in this view, Z for zoom, E for extents, and now I can see it in the right hand view. And this area, Z for zoom, E for extents, and make it so it's a little bit bigger in the 3D view. Down here, this is your shading. I don't usually like to change the shading for the orthographic views. They should all be 2D wireframe, right? But in the 3D wireframe, or sorry, in the 3D view, I find it's best to work with it being shaded. So I click on here, and if I click on this one, it doesn't look much difference. It's just a different way of shading. So this one is flat shaded, and this one is grout shaded. Flat shaded generates quicker, so I tend to use flat shaded. Now, when we start to create things, you're going to want to use multiple layers. So quite often I'll go to the layer button and create a new layer. Just call it, give it a color, green, and select a color. And then another new layer, and maybe make it blue. Select on a blue. Say OK. It just makes things easier if we use colors to be able to see the difference between shapes that we're making. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a hole in this box, and I'm going to make the hole go down through the top. So the best place to do that is working in the top view. You need to think about profiles. The profile of a cylinder is really a circle, right? If you look down on it from the top, it would be just a cylinder. Just a circle. And so if I use the cylinder command, what I need to do, it says specify center point. I need to find the center of this cube. I'm going to use my O tracking method and select here, midpoint. I just move my cursor along, and then it will start to try to find the midpoints for me. Midpoint, and then that's actually the center of my cube. Specify radius or diameter. I'm going to type in D for diameter, and I'm going to make the diameter maybe 20 millimeters. Okay. Specify height. Again, in this case, the UCS, I've got my X and Y here, so a positive Z would be out of the screen, a negative Z would be into the screen. So let's do minus 30. Okay, and now what I should have done was to put it on a different color. So I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to put it on my blue layer and escape. So notice that I can see in the 3D view that the way I've done it, it has made the cylinder align with the top of my block, which is what I wanted. If it hadn't, if it had been down at the bottom, then I would just move it up. Okay? So now what I want to do is I want to subtract that. I'm going to make a hole that goes part way down into this block. So to do that, I'm going to use the subtract command. Any of these commands, the solids, you can get to also by going draw, solids, and there's box, sphere, cylinder, and so on, just like what's here. And for editing, you can go down to modify, solids editing, and here's union, subtract, intersect, and so on. Right? Just the same as what's in this toolbar. So I'm going to click on the second one down here, which is subtract. Then it says down here, select solids and regions to subtract from. I want to subtract from the box itself. So I select that one first. Then I don't want to select any more objects to subtract from, so I hit enter. Then down here it says select solids and regions to subtract. So I now need to select the cylinder. Then I don't want to select any more things to subtract, so I hit enter. And notice that now if I come up here, I can use my 3D orbit and spin it around, and I can see the hole that I've created. It doesn't go all the way through because I didn't make it. I didn't make the height of the cylinder long enough to go all the way through. Okay. All right. So that's some very basic commands in 3D AutoCAD, and we'll stop right there as a starting point. You can play around and try some different shapes. You might want to try to union a sphere onto this object somehow, or play around with some of the other 3D commands as well. Alright, give it a go. Good luck.